Hello everyone, with the year ending, I decided it would be a good idea to look back at all the sets released this year. We had another 27 new LEGO Star Wars sets come out this year, and overall, it was another solid year. Not a golden year, but pretty good. With that said, let's get into it. We'll start here at the bottom with the Creative Play Droid Builder set, 75392. This will retail for $100 and it'll have 1,186 pieces. This set includes instructions to build some famous astromechs like R2 and Chopper, and on top of that, I think the idea is for kids to be able to mix and match parts and pieces and accessories to make their own droids. There is a 25th anniversary figure included here as well, and that is young Leia with Lola. Kinda neat, not one of the most exciting figures ever, but the Lola droid is pretty cool. I don't want to discredit this set too much. It seems fun, but I personally would never choose it over a more traditional set. Next, 26 is the Crimson Firehawk. This is a fine 4+ set, but like the last set, it's just not for me. The only reason I put it higher is because I love minifigures, and this set has a good one. The builds are fine too, but they're just clearly simpler and not too interesting. It's not a bad set by any stretch of the word, but I'm just not the target audience. Number 25 is the Dark Falcon. This set is essentially just a recolor of the traditional Falcon, and not much else. I can see the appeal of the set. The interior has some fun little details going on, but aesthetically the ship's dark look just isn't for me. However, the minifigures are where this set shines. Beach Luke is awesome and fun. The Jedi Vader is easily the standout here. The next figure is Bounty Hunter C-3PO. He's kind of boring. The only difference is really the red eyes and then this dark gray arm. Darth Dev is a new character in this set, and I'm not sure how he fits in the picture, but I can say he has some great prints and great detail to him. Finally, Darth Jar Jar is here, and it's so funny to see him actually make it into a real set. Not in a million years would I think we ever see him in an official set. Darth Rey is the final figure, and it's alright. Definitely the character I care the least about. Looking at the overall set though, honestly, I just don't care for it. A couple of the figures like Darth Vader, Jar Jar, and Luke are nice, but they're the only parts of this set that really have any draw for me. I know some of you feel different and will probably still pick it up day one, but that's just not me. The 24th slot is taken by the Sarlacc Pit. Right away you'll probably be able to tell that piece count is a little lighter than it probably should be. What you get here is a desert skiff that looks as good as ever, and below is the most complete and accurate Sarlacc Pit ever produced. The figures here are Boba, Luke, Han, Chewie, Lando, and 9 Nub for the anniversary figure. A decent lineup, all the figures look great, but 9 Nub definitely takes the cake here. They really knocked it out of the park with him. All the components for a great set are here, but since this set's reveal, it has seen copious amounts of ridicule from people for being overpriced. And, well, I have to agree. What you get just doesn't seem to be worth your dollar. I would have loved to see a second skiff included with a couple extra figures, and that definitely could have fixed that huge pricing problem. That's the set's biggest roadblock, so I highly recommend waiting because I'm sure there's going to be some deep discounts in this set's future. 23rd is taken by Darth Maul's Sith Infiltrator. This build is close to perfect, but there's this extra bump in the middle that is very off-putting and is extremely unnecessary. Besides that, I can only find positive things to say, but this one bump derails the entire build and really crushes any momentum this set had going for it. Looking at the minifigures though, it's another negative. Quality-wise, there isn't much of an issue, but quantity-wise, you only get 3, and then 1 extra for the anniversary figure. You're missing out on a ton of other characters that could have been included, especially when you consider the $70 price point. I think it's absolutely crazy they only included 3 base figures with this set. On its own, it doesn't seem like a bad set, but when you factor in that price, it just doesn't hold its value at all. Next at 22 is Jedi Bob's Starfighter. This Starfighter is really good, and it's very similar to Obi-Wan's, which is out right now. But it has a few extra attachments. I'm indifferent on these added pieces. They aren't really a positive for me, but they don't bother me either. So it's definitely a good build, but just nothing that jumps out at me. The figures here are a Calamari in Clone Trooper armor, as well as a Gonk droid, and they're both kind of interesting, but the big sell here, of course, is Jedi Bob. He looks exactly like he did back in 2002, and it's great. I really love that they're going back and giving this fan favorite character his own set. And for that, I can applaud LEGO. However, with this set, the biggest con is the price point. $40 just doesn't seem right, especially when you have Obi-Wan's right next to it on shelves when it's almost the exact same build. It really just feels weird. Overall, it's a fine set, but just not quite what I hoped for. The 21st set on the list is the Onyx Cinder. Now, this ship is from an unreleased show, so that makes it extremely difficult to rank. There's nothing to compare it with accuracy-wise, so this set's just going to have to try and stand on its own 2 feet, which I think for the most part it does. It's a little cluttered, but it seems like an overall fine build. The coolest part of this set though is easily the play function, when you can move the engines all at once to enter this landing mode. I'm not sure we've seen anything quite like that in the past, and it's a really cool feature. Besides that, the ship appears to have a plentiful amount of play features, which is something I always love to see. The figures here all seem fine, a little bland, but they are okay. Again, there's no way to tell how accurate they are, so for now, this just has to be good. This set does seem to be alright. There's definitely no big glaring problems, but only time will tell when the show does finally come out. Number 20 is the Luke Skywalker X-Wing mech. While I don't think the mech line is good for LEGO Star Wars, I can admit I actually kind of like this one. Unlike the previous builds, this mech has some personality to it. The X-shaped wings on the back give it more character than the previous mechs, which were much more plain. Plus the figure is good, even if Pilot Luke is super common. So while I don't approve of the mechs, this one's alright. Just ahead of that at 19 is the Mos Espa Pod Race diorama. This is the first prequel diorama, and LEGO made a great choice. The Mos Espa Pod Race is very iconic. The builds for this set are small, but it's a nice piece. I wish it was more of a defining scene from the race rather than just a generic frame. It's still solid and a nice gateway for more prequel dioramas, but it just leaves a lot to be desired. 18th is taken by C-3PO. Joining the R2 and Chewie, C-3PO fit in perfectly and in a pretty good scale with those other two sets as well. The build was crafted with immense care. There are so many curves and little details here that were able to be captured in this very nice model. The faces of these displayable pieces have been in question at times, but this one does do a solid job and it doesn't really leave room for complaints. The final touch I do love here is the Tatooine desert stand he's on. It adds a little bit of extra life to the set that some of the other buildable characters just don't have. I hope this change becomes a little more normal in the buildable figure line. There is a minifigure version of him here too, and it's always nice, especially when it looks this good. Overall, a really great 18 plus set by LEGO, and definitely worth it for adult collectors. 17th is R2-D2. This set does exactly what you want it to. You have a highly detailed buildable R2 with no issues. The problem here is we've seen so many different versions of R2 that at this point it just feels stale. It has a lot of great features, and I love the scale better than some of the previous, but it just can't help it that it's so repetitive at this point. This version did come with Darth Malak, which helped it out, but it can't save it. 16th is the Bark Speeder Escape. This set is kind of weird. Getting a set based on a flashback is not something I thought we'd ever see. I do, however, love seeing Kelleran Beck here. He looks phenomenal. The prints for his robes are especially good. Besides him, Grogu is here, and there are two 501st clones. Not a bad lineup of figures, and it certainly matches the scene it's from. The speeder build is oversized as per usual, but it's still good. I love the red and white colors on it. They blend together very well. You also get this random lamppost included for some reason. This set is fine, but I can't be the only one that feels weird paying $30, and the only build is a speeder. It's still okay, but that definitely bugs me. Next, 15th is the Millennium Falcon. The Starship Collection was such a good idea, and the Falcon shows off its promise. Such an iconic ship that deserves to be plugged into this iconic new theme, and it looks absolutely beautiful. It looks like the UCS Falcon just scaled down. There's so many little details and tiles that elevate the set. The $85 price point is a kicker though, and a big negative for it. 14th is taken by the Droideka. This set came out of nowhere, but I'm happy to see it. The build is remarkably good. I can't, however, say the same for the Playscale version accompanying this big model. Overall though, you're buying it for that big model, and it is a solid 18 plus set. The Droideka is a droid that has a lot going on, and it makes for a cool piece to have on your shelf. Number 13 is taken by the Tantive 4. This ship is one of my favorites, and LEGO did a beautiful job recreating it in this scale. One of my issues, however, is the price. Like the last Starship Collection, this one is somehow rated at $80. Besides that, there's nothing to complain about though. There's some wonderful things about this set, like the back engines, and I love the diagonal plates that connect to them. It all looks so good, but not for $80. Next, 12 is Ahsoka Tano's Duel on Peridea. There seems to be some criticism on the internet for this set just being a gray slab, but I actually don't agree with that. I love it. It's like a diorama, but with a ton of fun play features. Unlike the Obi-Wan set, this one nailed the play features and make that gray slab a blast to duel on. Besides that, the minifigures are absolutely phenomenal. You got Thrawn, Ahsoka in her white outfit, Ezra, a night trooper, and then even Morgan Elsbeth with a cool face print. No one can deny how great these figures are, and overall I do think it's a great set, but I definitely would recommend waiting for a sale before you pick it up. Next at 11 we have the Clone Trooper Battle Droid Battle Pack. This is a great versus battle pack for just about every reason you can think of. The printing and figure selection is great, but I'm not a fan of how LEGO is currently integrating the Phase 2 clone helmet holes. So that does hurt the set to me. Besides that though, it is a perfect set and pack. There's so many builds and play features that are phenomenal for a battle pack. From a set design standpoint, it's perfect. Number 10 is the X-Wing and TIE Fighter mashup set. Now, another X-Wing and another TIE Fighter. It does seem a little exhausting, but this one does look really good. The TIE is solid, but the X-Wing is a step above. The build might be the best X-Wing yet. We'll have to wait to see it in person for sure, but it seems great. The minifigures for this set are good, but not necessarily notable characters. You get a Rebel, a TIE pilot like you would expect, also a fun colored astromech. There are these two new characters that are unknown but look neat. The price might seem a bit off as the last X-Wing and TIE Fighter only cost $100 together. Overall, not a bad set to grab if you want some more TIE Fighters and X-Wings. 9th is the Invisible Hand. A set no one was expecting. This has been a ship heavily desired by the community, but no one thought we'd be actually getting it this year. The other reason for the excitement is because it's so good. The MIDI scale was such a great series for Star Wars, and this set shows it off even better than the other two. You get a full complete model with incredible detail, and this one's price is much more in line than the other two. It's a great way for cool display pieces without breaking the bank. And being that this ship is so popular and so desired, this being its first entry just made it that much more special. Number 8, we have the TIE Interceptor. The UCS TIE Interceptor made a reappearance 20 years later, and oh boy was it worth the wait. From the cockpit to the wings and the details, the build methods are all exquisite. The cockpit stands out though for its unnaturally good shape. Spheres and LEGO don't really mix, but here they broke that rule. The shape they crafted here is spectacular and unlike anything I've ever seen the LEGO team make before. This quality is something we have come to expect from this line of sets, but they still seem to surprise us every single time, creating another solid addition to the UCS line. Just above that, at 7, we have the Ambush on Mandalore Battle Pack. This battle pack is a beauty. The build is a great backdrop, and I love how it's just not another speeder or walker build. It's not just a background though, it does have some interactive features on it. Another neat feature is it can actually attach to the Paz Vizsla vs. Moff Gideon set. The main attraction though is the minifigures, of course, 2 Imperial Commandos that are crazy good looking, and then 2 Blue Mandalorians which are also premier figures. A great choice for a battle pack all around, and it's so good even as just a normal set. Number 6 is the Imperial Dropship vs. Rebel Scout Speeder. This set is a wonderful modern recreation of a set that doubles as both a great army builder and a fun throwback. The builds are both great, but the Scout Speeder has me starstruck. There's something about it I just love. All of this is only $40, and it's a really nice package and a set everyone should get. Next, number 5 is Jabba's Sail Barge. This set is being called overpriced, but it doesn't strike me as that bad. The price could definitely be better, maybe like $450, or they could have just included a desert skiff and Sarlacc pit. In its current state though, I wouldn't call it out of the norm price-wise for the UCS line. Besides that though, I do love this set. The build is gorgeous inside and out. The top is perfect and the interior is super fun too. It's got plenty of figures to fill the set out with, and it's nice to see a UCS set that caters itself to play as well. Not that anyone will be using it for that, but I love the option available for these big sets. Another A+ addition to the UCS line. Next, 4 is Captain Rex's Y-Wing Microfighter. I honestly feel bad putting a microfighter this high on the list, but I can't help it. LEGO finally did something good for once and really helped out us fans. In these microfighters, we rarely ever see them used this well. LEGO saw a big desire for a character, so they gave him to us at a small cost. This is sad to say, but that's somewhat out of character for them. Captain Rex sells the set himself, but I should also mention the Y-Wing. It looks really good and surprisingly good for a microfighter. It makes me want a full version of this set, and overall LEGO just did a good job, and it's a standout minifigure, and it comes together to create a very awesome set that's going to be legendary for years to come. Finally, breaking the top 3, in third place we have Paz Vizsla and Moff Gideon's Battle. This set is one of my personal favorites. I love this style of build where it's almost like a diorama, but not quite. There's still all the charm of a playset, but it's still at a reasonable cost. Not to mention this was just a perfect pick for a set. This scene was so awesome, and being able to recreate it with all these play features and minifigures is very fun. The minifigures are extremely detailed in their designs and prints. Paz and Moff Gideon are both great, but the Praetorian Guards are even better. The only slight hiccup is that there are only 2 included when there should have been 3 in that scene. Not a huge deal, but as you get towards the top of these lists, that's the type of thing that could maybe knock it down a slot or 2. Our runner-up for the best set of the year is the Boarding Tantive 4 set. This might be one of the few sets from this year I can say is a good value. For $45, you get the Tantive 4 hallway with a numerous amount of fun and accurate play features. And then besides that, the figures are also extraordinary. You get 2 Stormtroopers, Darth Vader, 2 Rebel Troopers, Captain Antilles, and then finally, as an extra anniversary figure, you get 5s. Such an incredible lineup, and one of the few times I feel like LEGO filled the set with all the figures it deserved, and they didn't try to squander that just to fit the price point and make a couple extra pennies. Everyone who's needed is present, which isn't always the case. This set is so much fun for everyone, whether you're picking it up for display or play. And then finally, in the very top spot, we have the Imperial Star Destroyer. This build doesn't break the mold in any way, but that's not a bad thing when it looks this good. I will say those smooth tiles and extra details on top do seem to have come at the expense of the size of the ship. From what we've heard and seen, it sounds like it's going to be 2 studs shorter in length, and that's not the end of the world, but I'm definitely not a fan of the downsizing. Besides that though, there are no complaints. The figure lineup has a large, diverse line of Imperial officers and soldiers, and then Darth Vader is even included. This set does have an anniversary minifigure, and that's Cal Kestis. It's so cool to see him here, and he looks really solid, although cloth poncho would have been nice. This set definitely takes the cake though, easily in my opinion. It's not without its own flaws, but they're minuscule compared to these other sets. This one's definitely worth a pickup. Do you agree with my list? If not, comment below. How do you rank all the sets from this year? And overall, I'd give this year a solid 6, maybe even 7 out of 10. It's a good year, but not one for the history books. Thank you all for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe for more. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.